Hello, myself Dr. M.J. Mungula, Associate Professor, Department of Mechanical Engineering, Indus University. Today we'll be talking about vibrations. As the word sounds like that, the things are vibrating means because we can listen anything because of the vibrations of our earbuds. Anything we can see because of the light waves which is passing through the vibrations. As we can breathe because of the vibrations of the lung. And as we are walking, it is because of the vibrations of our legs and hands. And as we are speaking because of the vibrations of our tongue. And as we are human being, we are living only because of the vibrations of our heart. And things which are moving in and around a human being because of the vibration that occurs. And that's how you can not only see the human being, but you can see the objects and machines. These all are vibrating, and because of that vibration, it may be causing uncomfortable livings of a human being. And because of the vibration, the sounds creates. And sometimes sounds are musics, and music also heals many of the pains. And hence, it is necessary to study the vibrations in a scientific manner. And if the machine is vibrating, it has certain amplitudes. And as the amplitude is increasing, it may be causing towards the resonance speed. And as the external excitation frequency is matching to the natural frequency of the machine, it may be causing a catastrophic failure. Hence, it is essential. You can see that huge bridges, which are being designed based on the mechanical principles and structural principles, and it has been considering the factor of safety appropriately, but as the earthquake happens, these bridges will collapse in no time. And because the resonant frequency of an external force is matching to the natural frequency of the bridge. Hence, it is very essential for us as a human being to understand the frequencies and various parameters of the vibration for mathematical solutions of external objects as well as the healings of the human beings. The vibration is not only causing because of the external agencies. It may be causing through inner to outer. And as we see the history, because the vibrations of the musics, we see the musical instruments since 4000 BCs in Hindus, Japanese, Chinese, and Egyptian civilizations. In this all civilization, they only thought of the musics in the perspective of the arts. And they have tried to increase the melodious and cosmetic perspectives of the music so while it has been used for various kinds of healings. And you can see that in an ancient Indian culture, the doctor, or rather we call Ved, which is measuring the vibrations of the pulse rate, and based on the pulse rate, he can diagnose the health problems. And that's how this vibration can be useful to determine the difference between healthy person and unhealthy person. And that's how we are understanding the importance of the vibration, and study of vibration becomes more essential. As now we see the history, as we already discussed, it was only in the perspective of arts and only cosmetic purpose. But first time around 6th BC, a Greek philosopher and mathematician Pythagoras has started to study the vibrations. As we study initially, but he could not be able to recognize the correlations between pitch and frequency. Although pitch was very well invented before his starting of the experimentations. He experimented on a single monochord with having a weight at the end of the chord, and he has increased the oscillations by various means, and he has studied it experimentally, but he could not be able to contribute on a written notes. Later on, after Pythagoras, Aristotle has also made some Aristotle physics, but that has also been disapproved, and that study is also limited to certain extent and no any other contribution. But his pupil, Alexoxenus, who has also a musician, has started to make a study on it, and little bit scientific study has been proposed in the 3 volumes in his study around 2nd century BC. Then in Chinese area, where the earthquake happens frequently, so the Chinese people start to increase the study on how to measure the earthquake. And then Zhang Heng, who is in 132 AD, means 2nd century after Anno Domini, has started to study, and he has invented first seismograph on scientific basis. He had made various studies on that. He has prepared one instrument which can measure the earthquake frequencies. But thereafter, 2nd century, there were no one who has made any kind of a significant scientific experimentations. Then 15th or 16th century, which is the century of various genius. And a person who is just sitting in the church and he has observed the oscillations of a pendulum in the form of light. And he has observed that a light pendulum is oscillating. And just he was bored with just only in front of the church, and what he has observed, he has measured the frequency or time period, rather say, with the pulse. And he has found some amazing astonishing facts like that the frequency is completely independent of the amplitudes of the oscillations. And that makes a revolution. And then he has made some kinds of basic laws of the vibration. Because of some unfortunate things happens with this gentleman who is Galileo, he could not be able to prepare any kinds of written notes. And because of some kind of restriction on him, he was under the bar and he could not be able to publish his work. But Marin Marcellin in 1636, he has published a book, and that book gives the first scientific experimental laws related to the vibration of the string. And thereafter, once the Galileo came back, then he has presented a big volume on the basis of the vibration. So you see, since 132 AD to 16th century, there was no work, and then from 16th century to today, it has been a significant revolution in the field of vibration. Then after this, Hooks, who came into picture, and there Hooks has made correlations between pitch and frequency, which was not being correlated by Pythagoras. And then after a great man, Isaac Newton, who has also in the 16th century, and that Isaac Newton has given 3 basic laws of the motion. The second law of the motion, where force is proportional to mass in acceleration, plays an immense role in the contributions of the vibration. And that basic law is, even in a modern books of vibration, are considered to be a basic line for formulations of the mathematics. Then many scientists have come, and many scientists has tried to give their approximations, and later on Brooke Taylor has founded his infinite series, and he has also made some fundamental frequency derivations of the string. And astonishing, it has been very well matched with the theorem being given by Mersenne and Galileo. Thereafter, Daniel Bernoulli, then Leonard Euler, and thereafter even John D'Alembert, these all people have given some kinds of vibrational theories related to partial differentials and differentials. And later on, Euler and Bernoulli has proposed a mathematics related to the thin theories of beam. Then in a modern science in 20th century, many people have contributed, especially like Rayleigh. Rayleigh has given a law which is finding out the fundamental natural frequency based on the conservations of energy principle, which is purely based on the thermodynamics first law of the principles. I mean, that is a breakthrough where another way of multiple degrees of freedom system to be formulated, and that is Rayleigh-Ritz theorem. Then in 20th century, Timoshenko, Delebel, then Mindlin, these people have given their theories, and modern science, Timoshenko has given a thick beam theory. And that's how the evolution of the vibrations and the law of vibrations have happened, starting from 4000 BC, and you can see the revolutions from 16th century to around 380 years. Right now, we are having multiple instruments and apparatus and gadgets which are having vibration as a part of its integral segments. Now we understand this is all about the understandings of the vibration. The basic 3 parameters come into picture. The first parameter of understanding vibration is the frequency. We know frequency, that means number of oscillations in a unit time. And that is a basic one to identify number of oscillations in any of the systems. The second important parameter is amplitude. As we know, amplitude means is a maximum displacement from the mean position, and that is also do not have any correlations with the frequency, as Galileo has already observed in the 16th century. The third important parameter which we need to understand here is the degree of freedom. Degree of freedom here in case of vibration is completely different from continuum mechanics. Continuum mechanics says that there may be maximum 6 degrees of freedom, but with reference to vibration, it has a degree of freedom completely independent, and it is number of independent parameter along which any system vibrate is called as degree of freedom of that system. It may be 1 degree, 2 degree, multi-degree, or maybe infinite degrees of freedom possible with perspective to the vibrations, which is completely different from the perspective of continuum mechanics. So these are the 3 basic parameters which are required to understand, and then this understanding will be carried out for various kinds of understandings of the vibrations and applications of the vibrations. Now we see that the vibrations can be categorized and classified in various manners. The first way of the vibration classification is the longitudinal vibration, lateral vibration, angular vibration, and torsional vibration. Now see, longitudinal vibration means a bar has its own longitudinal axis. If it oscillates about a longitudinal direction, that is x direction, the vibration is called as longitudinal vibrations. If the same beam is vibrating in a lateral directions perpendicular to its longitudinal axis, if it vibrates in a lateral direction, it is called as lateral vibration. Simple pendulum is an example of angular vibrations. And the torsional vibration, the roar, if it twists about its own axis, it is an example of a torsional vibration. So the example of a longitudinal vibration like a helical spring, example of a lateral vibration is a beam, example of a torsional vibration is shaft and disc, and example of angular vibration is a simple pendulum. The second way of classification of the vibration, that is free vibration and force vibration. Free vibration does mean that no external force is given to the system and system oscillates. Only initial jerk, maybe initial disturbance makes the system to be in oscillations, and as per Newton's second law, body remains in motion forever till there may be any external agency which stops it. So here the free vibration does mean there are many examples of free vibration, like earthquake is one of the best example where the jerk happens now, then oscillations that is not been a cyclic, and hence it is an example of a free vibration. The second category of the same one is forced vibration. In a forced vibration, every cycle some external force is acting. You can see any machines or any bikes which is vibrating because in every cycle some external disturbing force or excitation force is always acting because of unbalance that happens. So that is the category. Machines and the automotives are the categories of the forced vibration. Third way of classification of vibration is undamped vibration and damped vibration. Now what is damping? Any kind of a resistance to be given to the oscillations are called as a damping. If there is no damping given, no resistance to the oscillations are given, it is called as undamped vibration. There is no even air resistance or maybe frictions are considered as a resistance to the oscillations. These all are the categories of undamped vibration. And the next one is a damped vibration. Means this free oscillations of a simple pendulum while ignoring the air resistance and the friction at the hinge point are the examples of undamped vibration. But sometimes we are associating some kind of external dampers to resist the oscillations. Why this resistance are being required intentionally? As one hand we are providing springs to absorb the energy, other way we are coupling with the dampers. Take an example of a bike. In a bike you can see the springs that behaves like absorbing the external jerk. If that spring is only acting single, then once we find any kind of disturbance, the system oscillates, and it remains oscillations till the longer period. So that is not comfortable. To absorb that vibration, to absorb it and to reduce the oscillations, we are always coupling with any kind of external dampers. So that becomes a damping system. You can see an example of a pistol where it has a barrel It is also connected with the spring. Once you fire a first bullet, your barrel reciprocates within a pipe, and that reciprocation will not allow to second bullet to fire immediately. So we need to have a coupling of a damper in a pistol or maybe in cannons. So that is a damping categories of vibration. Third way of categorize of the vibration is a linear vibration and non-linear vibration. Vibration having three important parameters. One is elasticity, that is a spring. Second one is inertia, that is mass. And third one is heat dissipation or energy dissipation, that is a damper. If any of these three parameters behaves linearly or all three are behaves linearly, it becomes a part of a linear vibrations. And if any one or all of these behaves non-linearly, it becomes an example of a non-linear vibration. So sorry to say that in a linear vibration, all three must behave directly proportional to the parameters. And the next way of classification of vibration is a discrete vibration and continuous vibration. Now, how does it mean that any body, like a structure, if we consider it has mass exactly lies at the center of gravity of that structure, then we are considering the entire structure or a 5-story building to be concentrated at single point. It becomes a lump point, and that lump is a discrete point. If the same 5-story building we consider 5 masses at every story, it becomes 5 masses cases and hence becomes a discrete system located at 5 points. But in actual case, mass lies all over from bottom to top, and hence it is a continuous system. So for simplification of any system, we always consider initially as a lump mass, and then it becomes a discrete system, but actual systems all are continuous systems. And so the next way of vibration classification, that is a deterministic vibration and random vibration. If the external force are known to us, which we are exciting to the systems to get some responses, and that is known earlier, that is called as deterministic systems, like machines and all are the categories where external forces are known because we are providing some external frequencies to the system. And hence these all are the categories of deterministic vibration. And the next one, that is a random vibration. If we are moving from our home to our destination, we don't know what kind of bumps and what kind of external forces are acting on it. These all are the categories of random vibrations. Now these all are various categories, but the important thing is that what makes the study of it, how we should make a study of any system, external systems, in a more scientific manner. In any kind of system, if we want to study it, it cannot be studied in general, or we cannot completely make that entire body into mathematics. We have to make it little bit more simpler, because the modern science has not yet reached to the level where the entire any structures or machine can be easily converted into mathematics. So it has to be made little bit more simpler. And what is our main focus or main parameter of the study? We have to limit up to this. To limit that, we have to introduce few assumptions. And as we increases the assumptions, mathematics becomes simpler. But at the same time, accuracy also reduces. So, but it gives overall idea of a structure, how it behaves. So for an example of a 5-story building, as we have already discussed, if we consider a single point where the mass is lying, that is a discrete system. So only one point the mass is lying, that becomes a single degrees of freedom system. While ignoring, we take an assumptions like that there is no external resistance, air resistance, there is no kind of a damping, and there is no any kinds of external forces acting because of the friction and all. It becomes a simpler mathematics, but it does not give overall picture, accurate picture of the scenario. But to initially to prepare a mathematics, we have to convert that into a simpler model. In a simpler model, everything on and in around us, any non-living being can be represented as a spring, because anything and everything is a model of the spring. No body is a rigid body. Means every body can absorb some energy, and hence it absorbs the energy, it has some elasticity, and hence any body can be converted into a springs. There may be a lateral linear spring, there may be a lateral spring, or there may be a torsional springs and all. So any model can be represented in the forms of various kinds of springs and masses along with the dampers. So a 5-story building can be converted into 5 masses, and all the columns nearly can be represented into individual linear springs, and these all springs and parallel can be converted into equivalent single springs, and all the springs in series also can be converted into a single equivalent springs parallel and in series. So it has been formulated with many assumptions, and hence it becomes a simpler spring mass system. Entire building is now to be converted into simple spring and mass system, and hence by using Newton's second law we can formulate it. So the first way of understanding the vibrations of it is like that, to convert actual structure or a system into a line diagram. Once you use a line diagram, then use the principles of science that has been given by various scientists. You can use Newton's second law, you can use D'Alembert's principle, you can use virtual work method, you can use energy conservation method, or you can use Rayleigh's method. These all methods can be able to convert your spring into equation of motion. Once the equation of motion is to be converted of any structure, then the next way is to solve, because that may be a differential equation, partial differential equation. This can be solved by using even a Laplace, or maybe using a matrix methods, or can be also solved by numerical methods. And once we can solve by numerical methods, we can code it, we can give this programming to a software or computer, and it can solve us on behalf, and then we can get a results. And that interpretations of the results will be helpful for parametric studies of the structures. And that's how any object or any structure or any machine with list of more assumptions can be converted into mathematics. Now, if that mathematics will give some kind of some percentage of accuracy, if we want to increase it, gradually one by one we are removing the assumptions, and mathematics becomes little bit more complicated, but the results becomes more accurate and matches to the experimental one. These results can be also experimentally measured. Vibrations can be also externally measured by various means. There are various ways or various instruments. For like a simple one, like a pendulum, if it oscillates, we do not require any external agencies. We can only measure by using a clock. We can find out the frequency of it by using some kind of a digital clocks. But if we want to measure the vibrations of a structure or a machine experimentally, vibrometers, vibration meters, and even latest FFT analyzers are also being used, which can find out displacement, velocity, accelerations, or if we want to obtain, then we can find out frequencies and mode shapes. There are two types of study. One is time domain study, second one is frequency domain study. If we want to make a fine time domain study, we can get displacement, velocities, and acceleration. If we want to make a frequency domain, then we can obtain frequencies and corresponding mode shapes. Depends on a kind of level of mathematics we have utilized, we can solve it and we can do it. Now the most important thing that we have studied it, various laws are being prepared, it has been formulated, but where are the applications of these all we can utilize? The important applications of these all mathematics are first initially using human comforts. Because that vibration makes uncomfortable sounds in the machine. As the machine is having some unbalanced load, and that unbalance causes the vibration. That reduces the accuracy, and that also increases the noise. And so to make it more comfortable in noise and to avoid resonance condition, that is a prime thing, because if external agencies or external frequencies, if it matches to the natural frequency of the system, then the resonance occurs. So it is first to know that what is the natural frequency of any structure, any machine, or any component, or any part. So the first prime study of it is an applications in the machines and structures to understand its natural frequency, and subsequently second mode, third mode, fourth mode, and so on and so forth, number of continuous systems. So if we study it, we can avoid that particular speed of a natural frequency, and hence we can avoid resonant condition. That is the first thing, first applications, we can avoid certain frequency, and hence we can avoid its premature death. Otherwise, if you can see that entire structure, as already discussed, has been made with factor of safety and all, with all this and perspective, if that structure is to be vibrated near to the natural frequency of the system, in no time it will be a catastrophic failure, as we have seen in 2001 in Gujarat earthquake. And similarly, the second way is that if we study it, it becomes more comfortable to prepare automobiles. In automobile industries, a human comfort is more essential. So absorbs the jerks and absorbs the shocks. Along with coupling the models, we can find out what will be the amplitude or what will be the response of the system if it is excited by some kind of inputs. So this is another way. I mean, automobile sector where we can also apply, we can find out what will be the response, and in a scientific manner we can understand it. The third one is that if we want to break, here are the negative effects of the vibration. Because of the vibration, we cannot be able to feel comfortable, we cannot get the good accuracy, or sometimes if we want to have, we have to save the foundations in all such cases. But it has also some positive effects. We can tap the vibrations, and we can make an apparatus out of that which can break the heavy rocks, which can break the RCC blocks, which can break the roads to make lines. And so while various apparatus can be also generated, the latest one, as we can see the gadgets in our pocket, that is a mobile, we can generate the vibrations, and somehow in a silent mode we can also interact. And that is one of the applications of the vibration. Now you can see not only mobile phone, but you can see the trimmers are available, and that is working purely based on the mathematical principles of the vibrations. Trimmers, then massagers. Now vibration massagers are also available, which are making to be more comfortable. And then toothbrush, you can see that it is vibrating. You have to just only pick it and it oscillates, and hence you do not require to give any kinds of efforts. Your washing machines are also working on the principles of the vibrations. And these many more gizmos are being awaited. The important thing over here again to study the vibration is to study the structural health monitoring. Initially I said that in ancient Indian culture, by using the pulse rate, we can differentiate the healthy and unhealthy person. Similar fashion, if we can find out the natural frequency of any structure, we can define whether that structure has any kinds of faults or not. Without opening it, we can detect where the fault lies if we can find out the natural frequency of it. As it applicable to human being, the same can be applicable to the structures. A long pipe currently, to find out the cracks and discontinuities, we are using non-destructive testings. Non-destructive testings where there may be ultrasonic, then there may be dye penetrant test, but these all tests are time consuming process, because a long 1 kilometer pipe which is overhead, you cannot measure in a single day, because you have to go half meter, and that is overhead, means it is non-accessible. And sometimes it's a laborious process, and sometimes it cannot be approachable. In all such cases, if we use the principles of the vibrations, so while we can measure the frequency between healthy and unhealthy, we can detect where and how much severity of the crack present in the structure. Without opening and without any kind of a human intervention, non-contactly, non-invasively, we can find out or we can monitor the health of any structure. And recently, as we know that a pipe which is carrying a fluid and that is passing through the sea, and if we want to find out what will be the health of that pipe, because pipe is having a fluid with some pressure, and any minor crack may lead towards the catastrophic failure within that, and that may be a huge amount of loss. So it is again not possible in every year to go into the sea and to do that and non-destructive testing. So this is a best alternative now being used, and that is called as vibration analysis inspections. And that is modernly, I think I'm also I'm also thankful to my guide because we have also contributed up to certain extent in this field of how to detect cracks and severity of it. Not only the external agencies, but vibrations are being also used for remedies to various severe sufferings like cancers. You can see that in a cancers, we are initially using radiography, then later on we are using currently chemotherapy. In a chemotherapy, what happens like that, the cancer cells are always been divisive in nature. So we are inserting some kinds of therapies through the bloods. But that therapy not only killing the harmful cells, but it is also killing the harmless cells. So it is a complete destruction. In such kind of therapy, we have seen that it is not only divisive to certain kinds of malign cells, but it also kills the cell which is responsible to generate the skin, responsible to generate the hairs, and bone marrows which are responsible to generate the blood cells. So these all means not only, because you might have seen that a chemotherapy person having a problems with the hairs and skins and all. So alternatively, a scientist or a musician, music professor, Anthony Holland has invented a new method, and that is purely working on the principle of the vibrations. Because ultimately the cell is a microorganism. It's a living microorganism. It has the same principle of the liquid crystals. And liquid crystal, we can see that which is available in mobile screens and laptop screen, it is purely behaving as per the electronic signals given to it. It changes its shapes, it changes its fonts, it changes its color. The same principle we can use here in a malign cell, and it can separate out because of some resonance that is being required to give it. In a macro sense, the resonance breaks the heavy bridges. The same resonance principle can be used in a living microorganism to separate out these malign cells. And he has done some kind of devices which is called as resonance frequency therapy device. This device eliminates. The second way is that Alzheimer's and Parkinson's, as we know. Another Dr. Lee Bartel has also made some kind of a devices. Alzheimer's and Parkinson's, as you know, that makes an effect on our neurons. Our neurons are always acting in some kind of specific orders, and that works through the earbuds. It gives information to it. So a frequency 40 hertz specifically is the most comfortable frequency any human being can get it. So he has developed a chair, acoustic chair, piezoacoustic chair, where he gives a prescription of 40 hertz frequency for 30 minutes twice in a week for 5 weeks. That is a remedies for Alzheimer patient. So he has developed a chair which is vibrating and having a sound of 40 hertz, and that has made some miraculous job in the field of vibrations. Not only that, but fibromyalgia is also one kind of a major syndromes or maybe a sickness that has been found in Mexico and America. It has been also cured by using Nexo Neuro Lounge, and it is also, there is no drugs, no medicines, only 40 hertz sounds thrice in a week for 5 weeks. So a kind of apparatus now being also developed based on the vibrations which can kill the human uncomforts. And similarly, new inventions we can also see in a future where hypersurfaces are speaking. Any activities goes on the surface, it speaks out and it tells us what kind of activities has been done. The similar way as we have initiated, we can also fabricate some artificial ears, some artificial eyes, some artificial lungs, which are already been there as a part of our ventilators. In a corona era, we might have seen that the ventilators plays an important role, and that gives the oxygens where the lungs cannot function properly as per that. So we can see that vibration having a major role in the field of human comforts. And not only in a human comfort, we can see that the vibration makes us feel better. And we can see the future where in a vibration we can reach up to the ultimate level of spirituality if we can meditate. And that's what the ultimate goal of any human being, to reach into the culmination of spirituality. Thank you very much.